Who, who, who? The Arkansas Razorbacks are advancing to the Elite Eight after a victory over Gonzaga. Let's break it down and let's talk about it. This is the Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Out of Bounds. You can catch every weekday afternoon from 1 to 4 on 1037 The Buzz and 1037thebuzz.com. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. So head over to betonline.net where the game starts. I know that the time zone is all screwed up from where we're at here in San Francisco to where you're at in Arkansas. I get it, but I couldn't go any longer without doing a podcast about this. And folks, it's incredible. Like, I am on a full adrenaline. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I mean, if my nipples were any harder, my clothes would explode. I'm ready to fight because the Razorbacks are moving on to the Elite Eight after beating the number one overall seed, the number one team in the country, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. 74-68, Hogs advance. I am just trying to process in my mind of how it happened. How did we get to the point? How were we able to see the almost unthinkable happen where so many people were counting out the Razorbacks? So many people were saying that Arkansas didn't have a chance to win. And I'll even be one of those that felt like, as I said on the podcast, even just yesterday, why I believe they can win. I even said it on my radio show. I'm like, it's going to be a game. It's going to be an effort. It's going to take like next level playing. And Arkansas delivered that in spades. The defensive performance that Arkansas had, they just continue to impress me. The whole moniker that they have of respect everyone but fear no one, it was no more true than in this Gonzaga game, where they respected Gonzaga. They respected Gonzaga as a number one team, as a team where people picked to win a national championship, maybe make the Final Four. They respected them, but they also did not fear them. There was nothing about Gonzaga that really Arkansas hadn't seen before or didn't feel good about or really didn't, just felt like they were out of their element. That was never the case. The entire time, you could tell Arkansas was ready to play. Like they didn't have any, ooh, the lights are too big for us, or oh, this team's too good for us, or oh man, Chef Holmgren, like look at this guy. There was never that. All it was just pure will, pure know-how, pure adrenaline to go out and perform at the highest level possible to continue on and win in the NCAA tournament. And they're the ones advancing, not Gonzaga. The performance, which we'll get down into individual performances here in a second, but the game plan, the defensive execution, the just from beginning to end, the way that this team continues to impress me and so many others of how they just go out there and they give it their all, and they just do all the little things right, and they do enough to throw other teams out of their game. The fact that they're able to continue to do that and to do it in a way that is just, it's almost just so much fun to watch. Even though, as Musk says, it may not be aesthetically pleasing from the offensive standpoint all the time, the fact that this team is willing to fight, they're willing to die to try to go out there and just perform at the level that they are is just, it's almost like makes you into one of your favorite teams. And this team's going back to the Elite Eight for the second year in a row. The first time that Arkansas's gone to back-to-back Elite Eight since 94, 95. And we have to start actually having the conversation that the Razorbacks can win a national title. Now, I know that they have to win 3 more games, 3 more wins. They have to get those to even get to that point. I get it. Totally understand it. I also understand that, they're going to have a tough task in front of them, which, depending on when you get done with this podcast, right now the Duke Texas Tech game's going on. 56-55. So we're going to see who ends up winning that game and who Arkansas will face on Saturday. So we got to wait until that and see how that goes down too. But at the end of the day, the fact that this team has made it to the Elite Eight by beating the number one overall seed in Gonzaga, who are you afraid of? Who left on in this March Madness and in this tournament? Who do you see that makes you scared? Who do you see that you think you cannot beat? There should be no one left in this field that gives you any sort of fear. In fact, I would even make the argument that most other teams are probably fearing you, because it's not that you have some offensive playmaker that's able to go out and go for 30 every night. It's not like you have some bona fide NBA lottery pick that just seems unstoppable and so much more skilled than everybody else. It's not that you just have this, wonderful like game plan and veteran seniors that just seems like it's so difficult to play in so many different ways. It's like not like that. What you have though is a team that defensively and physically can wear you down, can frustrate you, can annoy you, and that no one have an answer for. They don't know how to handle you. You can't mimic that in practice. You can't mimic that physicality. You can't scout that. Like you just can't have that sort of outlook of what this team has done and what they continue to do. Like you can't mimic that in any regard. And so the fact that this team continues to do this at a high level and no one's figuring out the recipe. How do you beat Arkansas? How do you beat that defense? You can't. You don't know. You can't. Now you could get hot from shooting at some point in time. You can hit some threes here and there. But at the end of the day, you can't beat this team without your offense hitting shots at a high level. And when you're going to hit shots, they're going to be guarded. They're going to be ones that are really difficult to shoot. And so I don't want to call it luck, but you got to have some of that luck on your side when a lot of your shots need to go in. That's the only way you can beat Arkansas. So that's it. That's the only way you can beat them. And so far, no team in this tournament has been able to figure that out. It's incredible. It's incredible to see what this team continues to do every single game. And everyone was talking about, oh, well, they beat, Vermont, a 14 seed. Ooh, they beat New Mexico State, a 12 seed. Okay, well, they just beat the number one overall freaking seed. So shut up. What do you got now? What's the narrative now? What are people going to say? There's nothing to say. This team made back-to-back Elite Eights. No other team in the SEC has done that. You're one of the final 8 teams in the country, and you have a great opportunity to make it to your first Final Four since 1995. You have that opportunity in front of you. You are a team that is good enough to win a national championship. You prove that tonight on the biggest stage against the best team. You prove tonight that you can win a national championship. Now it's up to you to go out and do it. You're good enough to do it, but will you do it? Guess we'll have to wait and see how it all goes down. We'll talk about that and a lot more here in just a second. But first, hey, bracket's probably busted, especially after, Gonzaga losing, or maybe in Arkansas going all the way. Either way, it's what everybody else has right now. But we believe in second chances, and so do our friends that run your pool. Round up your friends who pick Baylor and Kentucky or any of these other high seeds like Gonzaga or whatever at a Sweet 16 pool at runyourpool.com/lockedon. Along with Sweet 16 brackets, Run Your Pool offers square pools. Yes, like the Super Bowl. And to keep things interesting every week of the tournament, brackets bust. It's still fun because it's like you have to stop, or most of the time you have to stop, but not in this case because they have options to edit scoring. So they offer more intel for your picks and all the stuff that media bracket sites wouldn't really offer you as well. Clearly, we believe in Run Your Pool because we run Survivor and bracket contest there this year ourselves. So start your second chances with Sweet 16 Pool at runyourpool.com/lockedon. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon. We also are brought to you by Stat Hero. And I know that you're probably upset still with your brackets being busted and how frustrating that must be. But never to worry. Stat Hero can also help you out as well, where it can do NCAA single game pick'ems that pits the star players against each other, an amazing hybrid of fantasy and sports gambling. Take control back from those handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Start focusing on the players you know best with a gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, or funky props. Stat Hero gives you the advantage, resulting in their gamers winning 4 times more often. Why? Because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you're going up against. In addition to the pick'em games, they also have dozens of lineups you can comb through to take on head-to-head, and it's the easiest and fastest way to get your sport action fix. It's literally what daily fantasy was meant to be. So sign up for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code lockedon for a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code lockedon for a 100% match. stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code lockedon.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so continuing on our conversation about Arkansas defeating Gonzaga and advancing into the Elite Eight back-to-back years. God bless, this is so much fun. I'm so happy to be here. And a shout out to 1037 The Buzz for making it possible and me to be able to come here. I work for the best company, best radio station, and really appreciate them being able to let me come out here once again and to witness this in person. But as far as individual players go, I got to give a huge shout out to Trey Wade, and a guy that nobody ever talks about, and I'm one of them. Like, Note gets all out of the praise. He played really good in this game. Jalen Williams played really good too. He gets a lot of praise. Stanley Mude gets a lot of praise. People talk about him. People talk about Devo Davis whenever he plays at a high level too. Audice Tony, we know I'm a huge Audice Tony, the biggest Audice Tony fan there is. Like, there's nobody bigger than me. I feel like I'm talking like Donald Trump, but I'm a huge Tony fan. But Trey Wade is kind of like the unsung hero, and at least he was tonight. 15 points for him. He goes 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 4 from three-point land, finishes with 7 rebounds, gets an assist and 2 steals, and is really hitting some big-time shots really late in the game too. So, like, I just can't say enough about him. And he's a guy that, he does not like he goes out there and just doubles up all the points and gets all that big-time numbers and everything like that. He was just really going out there and letting the game come to him. And I don't think Gonzaga really planned for him or prepared for him. It's like, it's Trey Wade. He averages 3 points a game. He's getting 17 minutes a game, if that. And, they were focused on Note, focused on Williams, focused on Amude. And then before you know it, it's like, well, Trey Wade's out here getting buckets, and where they go from there. I was like, what the crap? Who's this guy? So I think it really threw them in a whole loop, and they were shocked by it as well. And without Trey Wade and his performance, you don't win this game. So a huge shout out to him and the game that he had, and as well as, of course, J.D. Note, who, if you're going to look at his numbers specifically, he goes 9 of 29, but he did get 21 points in this game, had 6 rebounds, 6 assists, as well as 3 steals and 2 blocks. He did have 5 turnovers. That was too many, but still just balled out. And just like he always does. And everyone's like, hey, I love what Musk said, by the way, when, it was basically like, oh, well, JD took 29 shots, only made 9. He missed 20 shots. What do you feel about that? And he goes, honestly, I would have been fine with it if he took 10 more, because I have that much confidence in him that the next one's going to go in. And I love that response from Musk, because it's like, even though we may get frustrated or we may talk about how terrible it is, or like, hey, this is not good basketball, whatever it may be, we're still like, hey, this is their guy, and this is who they're going to run with, and they're still going to feel good about it too. So the fact that he has that trust in him was big. Jalen Williams, being able to do those big things too, and get another double-double, and his rebound, especially in the first half, was just boom. It was big time. That was big time rebounding. I think he had 8 rebounds in the first half. So, like, those are the things that just separate you as a team, and some of the great individual performances, and the fact that you were doing it against great teams like Gonzaga and being like that, it's just, it's just amazing. And I know I keep using those terms and I keep talking about it, but that's really all I can say. It's amazing. This team is amazing. This team continues to find ways to win, even though logic suggests that they shouldn't. Like, logic suggests that it's like, well, this team should be beaten. This team should be down. This team shouldn't be advancing. How are they doing this? Must be some sort of external factor in it. No, they just play hard. They just play hard. They play smart, and they're a really frustrating team to go up against. So keep winning, Hogs. Keep it going, and hopefully they continue to have big time performances by these guys as well. Because if they do that, this next game is going to be fun, and we'll see who ends up winning this one as well. I got to tell you about Built Bar. It's that time of year where pretty much everyone's giving up on their New Year's resolutions, and you're trying and still eat healthy, and it's really difficult to do. And I understand that it sucks, but luckily Built Bar can help you get back into that, especially with the way that they have different flavors to choose from, and also it's got 17 grams of protein, only 130 calories. It's fast, it's convenient, it's covered in 100% chocolate. It doesn't seem real that it could be that healthy for you, but also tastes that great. And the best thing about it is by listening to this podcast right now, you can get a great deal on it. If you go to build.com, use promo code LOCK15, you'll get 15% off your next order. It's as simple as that. Just go to build.com, use promo code LOCK15, and get 15% off your next order. Get it done. Check it out. Let's see how it goes. I know you won't be disappointed because I use it all the time. Again, go to build.com, promo code LOCK15 for 15% off your next order.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so final segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I wanted to talk about this because this was something that was really bugging me. But apparently, Mark Few said during halftime, and I'm sure a lot of you who are watching the game probably saw this. He told Tracy Wolfson that he something about Jalen Williams being a professional flopper. And, there was no audio of that, but that's what I heard from the people on who were watching the broadcast. And I heard that, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that's seriously what he's going to go with? Like, and I get it. Like, we've talked about it. Jalen Williams is a charge taker. And yes, Jalen Williams can sometimes get away with it. With maybe a borderline blocker charge, he gets the call. Like, we know that. But to just sum him up as a player, just be like, oh, well, he's a professional flopper. I think that's extremely disrespectful to Jalen Williams. And I really wish, if I hadn't had to do my post-game show on 103.7 The Buzz, I wish I could have been in the press conference there when Mark Few got up there, because I would have been like, so you called Jalen Williams a professional flopper at halftime. You still believe that? That's still what you're going to call him, or would you think that he would probably be some other player? As I suddenly swig my Coke Zero. I thought that was really dumb. And I even tweeted it, and then Jalen Williams quote tweeted it, so he heard about it. And yeah, I know, again, I respect Mark Few. He's a great coach, but I just thought that was really lame. And in the heat of a moment and in a game like that, it's like, you, the Gonzaga coach, is talking about being a professional flopper? Like, man, I saw some of your guys doing some flopping too, and I've seen them do some flopping all season long. I think almost every team has, at some point in time, beat guys that flop or guys that attempt to flop. A professional flopper? Yeah. Okay, Mark. Well, here's the thing. That professional flopper is moving on to the Elite Eight, and you're going home. So maybe your team should do a little bit more flopping, if that's what it means to actually win the game and advance into the NCAA tournament, which, you've done a good job here and there, but you still struggle to win that big game and win the national championship. Hate to see it, Mark. Keep it up, Jalen Williams. We're all rooting for you here in Arkansas. Appreciate everybody listening into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at BuzzJohn Nabors for any questions, comments, concerns you may have. And we're going to keep it going from there. We got another great podcast coming up tomorrow. We're going to have it live from here in San Francisco. So we're going to talk about the next matchup and all that fun stuff too. So be sure to check it out also on YouTube and subscribe there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you.